Since the beginning of time, every culture has told the same story, but with different faces. Adam and Eve, Odin on the world tree, Zeus with his lightning, Jesus on the cross, Iapetus the piercer, Buddha out of the lotus. Every tradition describes that same moment. The instant spirit contracts into matter and the one becomes two. Every mythology is a reflection of one geometry, the geometry of consciousness entering matter, the Vesica Piscis. The following is from a journal entry in relation to this topic and the intuitive spiritual downloads I received as I was writing it. Quote, "There are two separate oceans dividing itself within this realm of 3D Earth and into spirit, or better yet, the watery matrix of matter. The Bible says it as the waters above and the waters below. Above is Source, or God, or the divine, and should be equated to the image of a cloud. Rain falls from clouds, and with this metaphor comes the expression of the waters below, translating to the chaotic oceanic depths of this material matrix we all call life. Matter, separated by Saturn's castration from spirit as in the mythology. We, as souls, within human material expression, are the raindrops, or better yet, our spirits are the raindrops that fall through the separation of spirit and matter into this matrix. As we fall from the cloud of Source, we are born through the center of these two circles, the intersection called the Vesica Piscis. Pisces is a water sign, and it is the oldest astrological sign at number 12. It is ruled traditionally by Jupiter or by Neptune in modern terms. 12 in numerology reduces down to 3, the number of Jupiter and the Trinity. The fish swim forever, creating the imagery of the Vesica Piscis, signifying the completion of creation, as the constant churning of the waters by the fish will go on forever. Thus, when we pass, we, or our spirit, returns to the cloud as a gas or ether, which is then recycled into rain and dropped to its, quote, fall, manifesting form within the formless, and back into the oceanic depths of the next matrix. This cycle goes on forever. This, in itself, is the glue to modern physics and ancient metaphysical systems that have always taught, quote, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed. In other words, nothing ever truly begins or ends, it only changes state or form." All right, heavy disclaimer for you guys. First off, I'm not a mathematician. So the video will not go too deep into the mathematical concepts of the Vesica Piscis, as well as the mathematical concepts to the Rodin Coil. I will leave a link in the description for a video by Robert Sepper who covers these concepts, just immaculately. And he uses a video from Marco Rodin to support his 369 video. So, again, I'm just a regular dude that just can pick up on things, and I recognize the archetypes and the language that is spoken through sacred geometry, as well as really spirit manifesting into matter like we're talking about. So, just wanted to give y'all a disclaimer. Not a mathematician, just a dude that has eyes to see. The definition, what is the Vesica Piscis? Well, to put it simply, It is a shape formed by the intersection of two circles with the same radius, where the center of each circle lies on the perimeter of the other. In Latin, it means, quote, bladder of the fish, reflecting its resemblance to the shape of a fish's swim bladder. Also, the shape of a fish. With this being said, the universe and the creation of everything is caused by division. Through this division, you get from one two-dimensional circle dividing itself, causing this split in the middle, the Vesica Piscis. And out of this split, everything comes out. The Big Bang, trigonometry, math, everything comes out of this almond shape in the center. Let me describe the importance of the apple itself. So the apple and lemon geometrically can be constructed of a 2D image of the Vesica Piscis and rendered in 3 dimensions to show the correct dimensions, reflecting the golden ratio. When applied to the story of Adam and Eve, the ingesting of the apple is a geometric symbolic reference to the moment consciousness becomes self-aware. The first differentiation in creation. The apple is duality, symbolizing the division of unity into opposites. When an apple is cut horizontally, it reveals a 5-point star, the pentagram, which represents humanity and the microcosm as above, so below. The pentagram also geometrically matches face shape and is really just a representation of spirit into matter. It's God winking at you. But it's been demonized so that you don't know the truth behind it. So when the apple is cut vertically, it mirrors the exact expression of the Vesica Piscis, preserving the seed of creation within the womb where the two lenses intersect, echoing the separation from the Garden of Eden. Everyone generally agrees the universe is created through division. Even through the breath of creation, division is required. And with the Vesica Piscis being 2 equal circles converging into a common form that then outspurts this creation. The story of Adam and Eve really touches on this, along with the fall of Satan, the fall of Lucifer, Odin on the cross, Jesus on the cross, and I will show what the cross is, as well as, Iapetos the piercer, Zeus, Jupiter's thunderbolt, the expansion of Jupiter, the castration of spirit and matter by time, crystallized experience. All of this is a part of the Vesica Piscis, and all of this is the beauty and the reflection of the matter of humanity and the spirit of humanity. And so with that being said, this can be essentially distilled into 3 different mythical systems. We can have biblical, archetypal, astrological, etc. But let's just keep it with the program here. The fall, the wound, and the redemption all describe the same cosmic drama. The individuation of spirit into matter, and the return of matter back into spirit through awakened consciousness. Adam and Eve is the literal division of one. The apple, quintessentially, is probably the most important character in the entire Bible, because the apple is the Torus, the Vesica Piscis, the duality that is ingested by the Adam and Eve. Again, and this is personified, man. This is how humans are able to understand this, which is why religion, or I shouldn't say religion, but just why the beliefs are written in a personified form. It's so that humans can have a better understanding rather than sitting there, trying to imagine, all the angles and stuff. Like, people can't do that. But Adam is the undivided spiritual consciousness. Eve is the reflection of matter, manifestation, just simply the reflection. And that's what the wound or the rib is, the creation of mirror consciousness, basically material to spirit. Again, not surgically, literally yanking, he's not tranquilizing Adam and yanking a rib out. He's asleep, guys. So the fall, whether it's Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden, whether it's Satan or Lucifer, whoever, the fall is entering polarity, duality, and the embodiment of such. The apple, as I've said, is the Vesica Piscis itself. It is the Torus. It is the womb of form, the opening of the awareness. Remember, guys, tree of knowledge woke them up to awareness. They were then they were like, we have to make the fig leaf little underwears because we're naked. It was that awareness, the opening of perception, doors of perception. Oh boy. And so this moment, when the apple is ingested by both parties, by not only the reflection, but by the spirit itself, this is the spirit individuating into form. The crucifixion, the spear of Longinus, hanging from the world tree as Odin did, the cross within the Vesica Piscis, as we see it right dead center of it, this is the crucifix. This is the union of vertical and horizontal. Vertical is the spirit, horizontal is the material planes here. The pierced side, which is the original rib wound, so to speak, is now reopened. So when Christ is pierced, it is said that blood and water both flow from this. Spirit and matter merging again. The resurrection is the reintegration into the whole. And so, by WHOLE, whole. So, this is the matter when moment reawakens to spirit. The apple, the cross, and the spear are all one pattern. The fall is the symbolic element of the eating of the apple. The crucifix is the incarnation. And the geometry that ties all that in is the Vesica forming matter. The wound is the rib opened, whether it is Adam and Eve or Jesus Christ. The crucifixion is the spear opened. Remember, the piercer, iapatos, the piercer. The spear is iapatos. And that piercing, again, from source into material to cause the crystallizing experience of spirit within matter, is the creation of duality. The divine union, the marriage of Adam and Eve, is the resurrection to the cross. The divine union is basically bringing two back into one, from duality back to singularity. And the torus, or the toroid, recloses itself. Our redemption, our soul's redemption, as symbolically represented in this geometry, is our return to Eden through the perspective of Adam and Eve, or from Jesus' perspective, return to the Father, return to the center of the field. to be unified with Source once again. The parable of the prodigal son is represented by this. That return to the Father, that return to Source, that is what this illustrates. Our banishment, our fall, and it's not really a banishment, guys. It's not punishment. It's experience. And this is how our soul learns. This is how we remember to get back to Source. Think about it. Remember, in astrology, we're moving forward in one sense, going, let's say, from Aries to Taurus to Gemini. The zodiacal age is going backwards. So remember how we were in the age of Taurus when the Bronze Age happened. Get into the age of Aries, have a lot of militaristic expansion as a result of the Bronze Age unity of Venusian, Jupiterian powers that be, concepts that be. And this is the key part here, going back into Pisces, and now we're heading into the age of Aquarius. So the backwards motion of the zodiacal age, the 2,000-year cycle, that is us trying to find ourselves back into Source. And this is constant. Wheels within wheels. Gears turning gears, A lot of people experience on psychedelics, they can see the gears turning. That is what this is showing you, in your psychedelic experience. So, Adam and Eve is duality. Christ is the return to unity. Simply put. And Christ is not, think of Christ not as a person, guys. Think of Christ as the awareness that unites spirit and matter, bringing us back to Him walking on water. That imagery, total control and understanding of this domain. All it means. No, He is literally not walking on water, guys. That harmonious middle point, walking that fine line, that crucifix in the dead center of the Vesica Piscis. The Vesica, the heart chakra, which is where 666 comes from. It's a love frequency. Not evil. I don't care what people say. 666 ain't evil. They can manipulate it, like all other things. But the pineal bridge, the toroidal center, think about it like both of our brain hemispheres converge in the center like this. Pineal gland, third eye, dead center, where the Vesica Piscis would be. Scarab imagery from Egypt, as well as ancient, we'll say like the Göbekli Tepe area. I was about to say Phoenician, but the Göbekli Tepe area, they have imagery that represents this as well, with the scarab beetle being the brain and then the convergence. And so with this union of the two halves, this Christ consciousness, which you've probably heard before, this corresponds to Venus in Pisces. Venus, the former light bringer. Venus, beauty, love, harmony. Ruler of Taurus. Taurus rules the breath. That's why the torso. Expansion. Restriction. And this is the toroidal flow of the universe, the breath of the universe, the breath of creation, constantly. Anthropomorphically speaking, let me illustrate this. When we do this, look at the torso, look at the arms. It makes a bull's head. The Torus, this is, again, man, reflections of spirit and matter and the interconnectivity of all things. Man, oh man, I'm on a roll here. So, Venus in Pisces, Venus is exalted in Pisces. And Christ, if we're going to be honest, Christ is that archetype. As much as he is the solar archetype, he's got that Venus in Pisces locked and loaded. He is that embodiment. Venus, like I said, harmony, balance, union, love. Pisces, the dissolution of boundaries, return to the ocean or source, if you want to call it. Compassion, transcendence, very common Piscean attributes. And so Christ consciousness, literally, I've wrote down here, is literally love dissolving separation so spirit can recognize itself within matter. All myths say this. You, me, everything else came from unity, came from one. We entered polarity. We forgot. We suffer. We awaken. Illumination. We remember where we come from. And our return to source is our biggest test and lesson on this earth. The apple, the rib, the crucifixion, and the spear all encode the same truth. Spirit and matter divide so we may experience ourselves. And redemption is the consciousness reunification of the two through the Christ principle. The heart-centered awareness where duality dissolves back into reality. In alchemical terms, as it says on the Baphomet itself, showing you the Baphomet is not evil, it is symbolic. Solve et coagula. Dissolve, coagulate. Dissolve is to fall, coagulate is to redeem. And that is the boom, boom, the as above, so below that the Baphomet is doing there. Whoa, why did my camera just hyper zoom on me?
Extreme close up! Wah!
All right, I just got the Wayne's World extreme close up. Sorry, guys, but now let's get into the Lucifer Prometheus connection. Okay, so the Promethean Lucifer connection. Prometheus, the son of Iapetos, the piercer. We've already gone over this. Remember, Iapetos is that downward piercing in the Vesica Piscis, the vertical axis. The light bringer who descends, suffers, and transforms the human condition. Jesus is Lucifer. Whether you want to believe it or not. This is superhuman shit that I'm telling y'all. Prometheus brings the fire, knowledge, and consciousness to humankind. This is all occurring within the Vesica Piscis. This is not humans just oopa-doopa-doopa and then boom, they just get zapped. No, it's not that. The punishment by Zeus for empowering mortals to Prometheus. That is nothing but the fall into duality from singularity. Prometheus is bound to a rock. He's crucified. Just like Jesus Christ. And the eagle of Jupiter every day comes back to munch on his liver. And his liver regenerates. This shows you the cyclical resurrection. Again, man, this is Christ returning. That liver regenerating, this is all about Christ returning. So Lucifer Prometheus is the descent of illumination into matter, just like Adam and Eve, just like Christ. Lucifer, before he was demonized later, is the principle of differentiation. Again, falling from heaven, descending into density. The fall creates individuality and consciousness of the ego. Awareness. Fig leaf underwear. Think of that. Eventually, the individuated soul returns to unity and becomes reunited with Source. So this is just the constant story, man. It never changes. The Bible, it is the same story, just retold and reformed over and over and over again, man. And Christ is that unifying principle in the Bible that reconciles spirit matter above and below, unity and polarity. And Christ is that return current. The 9 back to Source. 6 is our descent. Think of it like a portal, because they kind of do look like portals. 6 is our descent into this. So the downward arch, like such. And then the upward arch of the 9 is our return to Source. Man, oh man. So, good God almighty. I mean, this is like, I'm telling you, this is like next, quote D Antwoord, that next level shit. And really, this is all the soul's journey, man. It's beautiful, frustrating, and yet it is our job to return back to where we came from. We got to go back home. And so I want to break down this image of Jupiter real fast. So we see the bull symbol crowned on his head, adorned on his head. Let's say that, adorned. It is the key to what it is showing you. The bull across ancient traditions represent the Torus, toroid, Torus, torso. It's not a coincidence. It is ancient languages encoding physical metaphysics. And the horns of the bull curve like the cross-section of the Torus. And the Vesica is the womb of form. Taurus is the earthly stabilizer of form. Remember, Taurus is an earth sign. The bull on Jupiter's forehead in this image is the cosmic eye, or Vesica placed at the seat of creation, the mind. Again, our brain is a receptor. We receive the downloads. We're just a satellite dish, pretty much. The Vesica being the womb of form, as we know. The apple. When the apple is opened up, we see the center, the seed of creation within the Vesica of the apple. Spirit into matter, spirit revealing itself. This is God literally winking at you. If anybody gardens out there, if you put what's what are known as cover crops, so like pea, clover, vetch, during the fall, winter, before you then plant for, the spring, these cover crops literally pull nitrogen out of the air and grow. And it's this self-contained cycle. And when you chop it in, it provides so much nutritious matter for your garden. And your plants just explode. That is the same thing, man. That is God winking at you. That's how I learned that this was a creation. This is what got me out of like that agnostic phase I was in for 15 plus years. Realizing that, like when I was gardening and I sat there one day and I was like, holy shit, dude. Like This is a creation. Like, this can't happen by chance. What the hell are these scientists talking about? Oh, that's chance. Dude, no. Stop. Stop. It is not chance. Ugh. Anyways, back to the point. The brain itself, the ventricles of the brain, form a vesica-like shape. The pineal pituitary axis sits in the horns region of what would be, Torus. The thalamus literally looks like a bull's head from above. Gustave Moreau in this painting is showing the brain as the toroidal generator of consciousness. These people back then were not dumb, man. They hid this. They encoded it. So Jupiter in symbolism is always expansion, protection, benevolence, the outward breath, the upper curve of the torus. So the bull, like in the framework, Christ is the center, Saturn is the contracting inward arc, and Jupiter, is the expanding outer arc. So the bull on Jupiter's forehead says, consciousness expands through the Vesica field. The starburst, the halo, whatever you want to call it, behind Jupiter's head is like anything else we see. We see it in Christ. We see it in Buddhism, Hinduism. That simply is cosmic illumination, the crown chakra, divine intellect, the emanation of the toroidal field at the top of the head. Now, the feminine figure beside Jupiter that we see in this painting, beside or behind him, whichever one, that is the receptive polarity. The Eve to his Adam, the lunar to his solar, matter to spirit, body to intellect, and the second circle of the Vesica. And she's positioned inside the emanation, Eve from Adam, form from spirit, matter from consciousness. Reiterating once again, Adam and Eve, spear, apple, division, reunion. The generation of all things. That's why this symbol is so beautiful. So how does this connect to the age of Taurus? The birth of early civilizations? Given, with the expansion of the Bronze Age. Agriculture exploded. Bull worship dominated, as they were probably the ones figuring out this toroidal field or toroidal symbology. The earliest stable human societies formed, and the attention shifted to form, matter, and building civilization. The expansion of civilization through Taurin energy. So this painting ties together everything we've explored so far. The cross, Christ consciousness as the center of the torus, Jupiter's balanced, radiant mind, the Vesica, the bull Taurus emblem on Jupiter, the brain Vesica, and how we generate everything from within and receive, the transmissions. Adam and Eve division, male-female polarity, shown as unity in the field behind him. The Taurus radiant bull symmetry, all encode toroidal geometry. Jupiter is literally Zeus, obviously, the one who overthrows the so-called Titans to impose cosmic order. The image shows this: the human brain as the place where divine polarity becomes harmonious and where the torus of consciousness becomes fully realized. We will now look at the squatting man motif. as it integrates both the plasma discharge physics and the symbolic geometry we have been exploring. This is what mainstream plasma physicists think the squatting man imagery is. In prehistory, Earth experienced a massive plasma discharge event located in the upper atmosphere. This discharge took a stable plasma configuration resembling a human-like shape as we see it painted, on these things here. Arms raised, body as the column, 2 toroidal hips or thighs, sometimes a circle or 2 nodes above the head. This matches lab plasma configurations known today, particularly Z-pinch instability. Ancient people drew what they saw, a thunderbolt-like plasma form appearing enormous in the sky, visible over continents. That is the scientific hypothesis, but there is much more to be extracted from this. The event was global, and this is why civilizations across the board didn't just spread the same image out of chance. This event was global and/or the symbol matched a deeper archetypal geometry already a part of the human spiritual vision. Which is the case? You can think it's plasma discharge, but really it is a representation of the toroidal field. And also, you turn it to the side, turn this squatting man motif to the side, you get the literal sign of Pisces. The squatting man configuration looks like this. The cross section of a Torus, the Vesica Piscis personified, axis mundi, or the world axis, the world tree, Yggdrasil, the cosmic human archetype. So even if it began as a plasma event, which it very well could have, it remained very significant because it matched the deeper sacred geometry of consciousness itself, which gives us the synthesis. So let's look at the shape a little bit more. The central column is the world axis, the toroidal core. The 2 loops or circles at the side is the polarity flows. So, upward arc, downward arc. Circular or radiating head is the electric crown or the crown chakra shape. Arms raised in the upward flow pattern, which is the literal shape of the toroidal field seen from the front. When it is represented anthropomorphically, it always looks like a human. Head at the top, arms at the field's upper lobes, body as the axis, hips as the lower toroidal bulge. This is the same geometry encoded in Vitruvian Man, the Egyptian Ka stance, Shiva Nataraja, the winged bull, the Odin's posture across Christianity with the arms out, Kabbalistic Adam Kadmon, and the Vajra body of Tibetan Tantra. The squatting man is the electromagnetic human because the human biofield is toroidal. Was it a thunderbolt or the Vesica Piscis? Was it a plasma bolt? It was both. Here's the single most complete understanding. Physically, it produced a human-like column with toroidal forms. Symbolically, humans interpreted this through the lens of the toroidal field, the Vesica, and cosmic anthropomorphism. Torus the bull, Vesica the womb, central axis, the spine, the world tree, raised arms, ascending flow, head node, the crown chakra or the cosmic sun, and mythologically this form became Shiva, Osiris, the thunderbolt of Zeus, the plumed serpent, the Atlas figure, Adam Kadmon, the quote-unquote sky being in petroglyphs, and the Orion's posture. It's all the same geometry. It's not random. It is not coincidence. It is all linked, and this is all the correct way to decode mythic geometry. So how does Satan being cast out of heaven and crashing to earth like that of a thunderbolt? Well, the fall of Satan is really humanity's descent into matter. So, in a sense, we are Satan. We are Lucifer. The massive discharge, the Z-pinch collapse, as the interpretation of this plasma thunderbolt cosmology goes, it is destabilizing, it ejects material, and it breaks symmetry. They would interpret the falling energized node as being cast down from the sky. And so this is why comets, auroral storms, plasma instabilities, and columns of fire, quote unquote, were mythologized as angels or gods falling. So Satan falling from heaven is witnessed plasma chaos, as well as being an allegory and a concept. And so Satan's fall symbolizes the collapse of the upper toroidal arc into material density. The same as, again, Adam and Eve, Icarus falling, Lucifer falling, Atum sinking into Nun, as in Egypt, Purusha splitting, or the demiurge forming matter, all describe the same toroidal inversion. To conclude this presentation, I will now read a short passage from the Baha'i Faith, and I will link this passage to Iapetus. The passage itself, quote, I call on thee, O thou who penetratest all things, O all-seeing God, O Lord of utterance. This kind of invocation describes consciousness that permeates everything, central axis or beam that, quote, sees all, a force that speaks creation into being, utterance or logos. These three ideas immediately map onto toroidal physics and the primordial axis long encoded in myth. And I also associate this with Marco Rodin because he is of the Baha'i faith, and this is where I learned it from. And so, Iapetos in the Greek mythic system is the father of Prometheus, the awakening principle, associated with mortal embodiment, representing the vertical axis that divides and defines form, linked to the boundary between heaven and matter. Etymology scholars connect Iapetos to ideas of piercing, wounding, opening, penetrating. He is often interpreted as the, quote, Titan representing the piercing axis, the world axis. And that is exactly what the penetrating dynamic is described as within the passage of the Baha'i faith. In Marco Rodin's vortex mathematics, the toroidal field has a central axial opening. A penetrating current moves through the center. This is the source of all, quote, utterance or emanation. 3, 6, 9. Consciousness enters matter through that axis. Rodin describes the center of the torus as, quote, a hyperdimensional opening, the point of divine recursion, which is exactly the penetrating, all-seeing principle invoked in the quote. And it is also why we get the all-seeing eye as a symbol generated from the Vesica Piscis, mirroring the mythology and the mathematics. So, symbolically, let's go with I'm going to do this in 3 sections: symbol, function, and does it match the passage? Which, yeah, it does, but break it down. Iapetos is the divider, the piercer. In the passage, he who penetrates all things. The world axis is the all-seeing center, the all-seeing God, the all-seeing eye. Logos, or the utterance, the breath of creation from the torso toroid Torus. Lord of utterance, like it is in the passage. And the torus center, the penetrating ray of source entering matter, Rodin's toroidal opening. So Iapetos is not a God, it's not a person. It is the piercing beam of consciousness entering matter. Again, cannot hit that home anymore. So why does this matter in mythological structure? Again, spear of heaven, ray that becomes form, penetration of spirit into matter is Iapetos. Odin's spear, Gungnir, the spear of Longinus that pierced Christ. Shiva's lingam of fire, the Egyptian Jed pillar, the biblical breath of life into Adam, the lightning of Zeus, and the axis of the Torus describe the descent of the central beam of consciousness into divided form. Y'all, I appreciate you watching. This was a lot of research gone into this, man. Again, every time I start researching, I'm like, I'll be done in a week. And then a month down the road, I'm like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, standing in front of the map, just skitzing out. But what a crazy world, what a crazy revelation this is. And I hope that this information, you know, is relatable, and I hope that you get an understanding of the world around you and the reality that we dwell in. So, to my subscribers, thank you very much again for your support. To those that watch this, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. I want to know y'all's thoughts. And until next time, y'all, take care.